Hey y'all. So this video is gonna talk about perimeter and area of a polygon. So a polygon, right here, this word, describes this guy right here. And what is a polygon is a 2D shape. It's gonna be a 2D shape. And, and it's gonna be closed. So it has to basically have like points connecting. It can't be open. And it's going to have straight lines, right? No curves. It can't be bendy, so no circles. That's not allowed. And it's going to have a minimum of three sides. 3 sides, right? So like a circle, that's not chill. Like some kind of thing where it's just like 2 of them. I mean, I guess that would be a line, wouldn't it? Well, maybe not. Maybe it'd be like this guy. But see how he's open? There's nothing here. So these would not fall under polygon. So basically like triangles, and then like things that are like squares, rectangles, and then like things that look like squares and rectangles stretched out, and then like octagons where it's like a stop sign or something, you know? Am I drawing this right? Okay, yeah, like that. Something where it's closed, a bunch of lines, it's 2D, no curves. That's essentially what a polygon is. So this guy's a polygon right here. This is a right triangle. And the perimeter right here is going to be the outside. It's just the outside, perimeter outside. The area is the inside. Area is in the inside, perimeter is on the outside, right? So let's see. Let's try to do some of these. So we're gonna find the formula for perimeter and area. In my opinion, perimeter is much easier than area, but maybe you'll feel differently. Let's try the first one. So this is a classic triangle. This is a triangle, right? So the one we just looked at, that's called a right angle triangle, or a right triangle. Okay, cool. So let's see. It looks like I have a base. I have 2 sides, and then I have in the center right here a number. That's actually the height. Anytime you see like a line with a little tiny box, that's the height. Cool. So let's see. We're going to look for the perimeter, and we're going to look for the area. So the perimeter is really easy. You just take all the sides, right? We have 3 of them. The center thing doesn't count as a side because it's up in the middle. We're looking for the sides, and all we do is add them together. So 15 plus 13 plus 14. That's it. That's all we do. And that actually gives us an answer of 42, right? That's literally the answer. That's the perimeter. So, I mean, the thing is, like, it could be inches, it could be centimeters, it could be like super microscopic, like, you know, like it's on top of a cell or something. And it could be like little micrometers or something. I don't know. Maybe not micrometers. But right now, let's just call it inches. So it's 42 inches, like all around. Like if it was a park and you were walking, you would be walking 42 like inches if you're a little baby ant. Okay, cool. So let's see. Let me get rid of all these little dots. And area. So area is the base times the height divided by half. What does that look like? It looks like this. Sometimes you'll see it looks like this, but it might look like this. Exact same formula. Both of those are the exact same thing. You're always going to get the exact same answer for both of them. So what does that mean? The base is the bottom. The height, as we mentioned, it's going to be this part right here. So what we're doing is we're going to do half base times height, right? So let's see. It's half 1/6/8 divided by half, right? Because we're going to divide it by 2. What is that? I guess I should have moved that here. Move all this here in your mind, I guess. right? It's going to be 84. 84. That's the answer. So on the outside, it's 42 inches, right, of this park. And on the inside of your ant park or your ant farm, the area is 84. Okay, that's a triangle. Okay, what's this guy? It's a rectangle. Rectangle. So we're going to look for the perimeter and we're going to look for the area. Perimeter, same idea. 10 plus 2, but we still have more sides. We got to walk on all sides. We walked here. We walked here. We got to walk on this side, which would be also another 10. Let me fix that. A 10. And now we got to walk right here and we got to go right back to where we originally were. Right? So what does that give me? 24. 24. 24 inches or feet. We can call it feet if you don't want to be an ant anymore. So it's 24 on the outside. What about the area? What's the area? Well, the area of a rectangle is going to be length times width. Length times width, right? So the length is right here, right? The length. Imagine like a cat just hanging out. This is oh gosh. Okay, imagine a cat hanging out. You know how they stretch? They stretch this way and then they like stretch the little back legs and they get all long and lanky, like long cat. Okay, think of it that way. When you think of length, yeah, so, sorry. Think of it that way. Width goes up and down, right? So our width is 2, our length is 10, right? So what does that mean for our formula? It's going to be length times width. So you just need the length 10 and the width of 2, right? What does that give us? It gives us 20. The area inside is 20. So on the outside, if you're walking on the outside of this park, it's 24. If you were hanging out on the inside, it's 20. What about this right here? This shape. Right triangle. Right? And we're going to look for the perimeter and we're going to look for the area. So the perimeter is the same thing. If I were to start right here and I was walking here, and then I walked here, and then I walked all the way back to my original spot because I have to make sure I cover everything. It has to be closed like a polygon that we mentioned earlier. What would that look like? It'd be a 6 plus a 10 plus an 8 because I covered that. So it's addition because I already walked there. I already took care of it. Right? And that gives me a 24. Yeah. 10, 8. Yeah. Okay. I think that's 24. Yeah, it is. Okay. Great. What about the area? What's the area? Well, here's that little box thing again that we were talking about. See right here? This little box. So that's how I know this is my height. And here's my base. It's at the bottom. So what's the formula? Well, it's a triangle, so it's exactly half base times height. Right? So what does that mean? I'm going to put the half here. The base is 8. The height, that's 6. And what does that give me? It gives me 24. 24. Right? This time, it just happened to be exactly the same. The outside and the inside happened to be the same. What's this guy? This guy is a parallelogram. A parallelogram. It's basically a rectangle that's kind of like wonky looking. We're going to look for the perimeter and we're going to look for the area. So what's the perimeter? I am going to start, let's start here. I'm starting here. I'm going to take my walk. I'm going this way. I'm going this way. I'm going to go this way. And I'm going to come right back. So what does that mean? It gives me a 10 up here at the top. It gives me a 5, gives me another 10, and one more 5 when I got back to my original spot. That leaves me with 30. So the outside is 30. the perimeter, just like the very edge. Like if it was a piece of bread, this is the crust. But what about the inside? What about the bread, the white part of the bread slice? What is that? Well, with that, it's just base times height, right? So with the area, there are various formulas. They're pretty like simple formulas. They're not too elaborate, but you just got to remember which one gets like the half in front of it, which one doesn't. It's small stuff like that. So remember, you look for this little guy and then you can find the height. Usually it's a dotted line, but honestly, I don't really know how to use that feature. So I did a solid line, but typically you're going to see like a little dotted line. Let's see. So we have the base, which is going to be 10. What about that height? It's going to be a 4. That 5, we don't need it, not for this formula. We used it for the other formula, for perimeter, but for area, we don't need it because it's not asking for that. It's just asking for height and base. And what does that give us? It gives us a 40. So for area, it's 40. These are the two answers. The inside, the white part of the bread is 40. The crust, the brown part, is 30. Okay, cool. Okay, what about this shape? It kind of looks like what we were just doing, a parallelogram, but it's a little bit like kind of tight. It's a little bit smaller. So this is called a rhombus. Rhombus. What's interesting about a rhombus is like all of the sides of the outside is equal. Like the equal in the sense that it's the same number. Like if one side is 6, the rest are going to be 6. If one side is 2 million, all the other sides are going to be 2 million. And we're looking for the perimeter and we're looking for the area. So perimeter, right? We're going to start like right here. We can start anywhere. We're going to walk here. We're going to walk here. Walking over here. I turn and I go back to my original spot I started at. What does that give me? It gives me 5, 5, 5, and 5. And what's the answer to that? It's 20, right? It's 20 inches or feet, whatever, if you want to be a human or a little ant today with your rhombus walk. What about area? Well, with area, it's going to be base times height. Just like earlier, it's going to be base times height with a parallelogram. There's no half in front of it, just base times height. You might be noticing a pattern where if it looks like a triangle, you put like a little half. And when it looks kind of like a square or a rectangle, it's just the alphabets. There's no like, it's like length times width, base times height. There's no extra numbers in there. So what's the base? Technically, you could pick anything because they're all the same, but whatever's in the bottom is pretty good for base. So that's a 5. What about the height? The height is whatever is touching this little box. So that's a 4, right? So what does it give me? It gives me a 20. So the area happens to be the same, which makes sense. I mean, it's pretty symmetrical looking, in the sense that the sides are all equal. So the perimeter, my outside is 20, and then the inside also is 20. Okay, I have one more shape. Here's this little guy right here. This guy is called a trapezoid. Trapezoid. When I was younger, my older sister would watch this TV show called Freakazoid. And I hated it. It was so awful, but she loved that. She loved that TV show. Every time I see the word trapezoid, I always think of that cartoon. So, yeah, let's see, perimeter, area. So this one's kind of all over the place, right? I mean, it's kind of a weird shape. Let's start here because we've been starting there. So we're going to start walking this way. We're going to go this way, all the way across this way, and we're going to come right back up. So what does that give us? It gave us a 7, gave us a 17, it gave us a 10, and what is that, a 28? It gave us a 28, right? And altogether, that gives us a 62, right? So it's 62 like inches or feet all the way around this park. But what about the inside, right? The area. How do I check the area? Well, the formula for trapezoid's pretty interesting. It's because it's kind of like a rectangle right here. Right here is kind of like a rectangle, and over here it's kind of like a triangle, right? And it's kind of pushed together. So both of those formulas are going to kind of be pushed together, right? With the rectangle ones, we were just basically doing just the alphabets. It was like length times width and base times height, basically, right? Okay, but with the triangles, same game. The alphabets, right, was base and height, but we had that half in front of it, right? So we're going to basically combine all those with the trapezoid. So what does that look like? It's going to look like this. It's going to be half base 1 plus base 2 times height. That's what that means. Base 1 and base 2 just means the first base and the second base, because there's going to be two of them. So let's go ahead and try to figure this out. So what are my two bases? What is that? We already know what height is going to be because we've been kind of doing that a lot. It's going to be 8 because it's that little line down the center with that next to that little box. But what about the bases? Well, one of them, here's the thing. Do you see how like nothing's really equal? Okay, so the base is at the bottom right here. But there's two because this is also technically the bottom in a weird way. I know that doesn't make sense, but in the sense it does make sense because those two that are next to each other, they're not next to each other, they're across from each other. What's going on with them? They're parallel. They're different sizes. So we have to incorporate both of them together in the formula. So what does that look like? It's going to be my first base, which is 28, and my second base, which is 7. And you can do 7 first and 28 after that. It's not a big deal. But you basically have to make sure you include both of them. They're both considered the base. When they're not equal like that, you got to incorporate both of them. If the formula calls for base, that is, right? So what does that give me? It gives me half again. I'm going to put the stuff in the parentheses together, right? Because we're following PEMDAS. That thing will never leave our side, so we're doing the parentheses. And then I have 8. Let's rewrite it so we have some room. Okay, what do I want to do next? Well, let's put these two together. That gives me 280. Let me make sure. Let me get my calculator out. 35 times 8. Yeah, it's 280. Sweet. Okay. What about 280 divided by half? It gives me 140. This is the answer, 140. So, and in this crazy shaped park, I'm walking on the outside, and it is 62 inches. But the inside, it's just super crazy sized. Like on the inside, it's 140 inches. It's just shaped so weird that like this part's huge, you know? And I wouldn't be able to tell because I took this huge dip right here. And then there's all this extra storage in here I didn't even consider. So the inside is super, super, super big. The walking distance on the outside, not that big, not that big. So there's more ground to cover in the area. So these are different polygons. And remember, a polygon is 2D. It's a closed shape, you know, it's like a full closed shape. It's only straight lines. You can't have curves. So ovals and circles are absolutely not allowed. And there's a minimum of 3 sides. So you're either messing with triangles or squares or anything above that, like a stop sign. So, okay, I guess that's it. I hope this video helped. I have stickers. Don't go to my sticker shop. Absolutely don't go. Don't even look. Don't hit like. Don't hit subscribe. Don't do none of that. Don't support me in any shape or form, y'all. Okay, thank you. Bye. Be safe.